Well, friends, grace to you and peace this morning from God our Father, our Lord and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. You know, some of us, we just don't appreciate the unexpected at all. I mean, we like to know that people think the same way we think they do what we do, and that there's a sense of control. But I'll tell you, that was one of Jesus' problems. He wasn't what people had expected. His was an unconventional ministry aimed at fishermen, at tax collectors, at so many others, people who weren't the elite of his time. He dealt with the well-to-do and he worked with them, but his ministry was so aimed at those who were struggling. In spite of his astounding popularity, it was clear that he was charting his own course and that he was playing up to no one. Some of his teachings even contradicted the conventional wisdom of his time. Even the people closest to Jesus, his family, didn't understand what he was up to. I mean, this text today, this is a profound text in my mind. There is so much drama going on here. His family, folks didn't understand what he was up to, and they were very concerned about him. They had heard disturbing reports that he had been butting heads with people along the way through his teachings and through his healings. It was all so radically new that they thought he was beside himself. So when they heard that he was home in their village, they set out to see him. If only they could have a few words with him privately, they might be able to do something. Now that's the dynamic of this text. He had frankly become an embarrassment. Mark tells us that people were saying he has gone out of his mind. Jesus really wasn't what they expected. That thread's going to run through his entire 3+ year ministry. The people had different expectations of what the Messiah would be like, what he would say, what he would do, and what he would be about. And Jesus just didn't fit that expectation, plain and simple. It's difficult to put Jesus in a box and say, this is who he is. But yet there are those in the Christian community who just demand to be able to do that. That this is what Jesus would say, this is what Jesus would do. I'll tell you read the Gospels and see his exchanges and his engaging of those whom he engaged, his teachings. And folks, when we look at that, Jesus is often an embarrassment to many who know him best now. Do you remember a few years ago when they polled people about various elements of the Bill of Rights? It was a marvelous questionnaire they did. And what they discovered is that a majority of Americans would not support many of our most basic rights if they were put to a vote today. What? You remember that one? Do you remember that questionnaire and the results that came out of it? My guess, friends, is the same thing would happen if we put many of Jesus' teachings to a vote among Christians, where he says, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you, turn the other cheek. Blessed are the poor. Would you vote for such sentiments? Because many of us don't in our everyday lives. There was a pop song back in the golden days of the televangelists that asked the question, would Jesus wear a Rolex? I was just told coming in today, a report coming out of down south someplace, some televangelist just bought a $75 million jet. And that is what it's all about, that's fine. Let me ask you folks, where would Jesus position himself today? You ever think about that? I think about this. Where would Jesus position himself today? Where would he stand on gun control? Or aid to Afghanistan or Kosovo? Where would he stand? Where would he position himself in terms of universal health care? You and I question, because we call ourselves his followers. But do we? Do I really think that he would vote as we would, as you would, as I would? Or would Jesus be an embarrassment? Or would we be an embarrassment to him? Timothy George says he never understood the radical nature, folks, of Jesus' ministry until it was driven home in a very dramatic way. He was in his first year as pastor in a church in Chelsea, Massachusetts. Now Chelsea, says Timothy George, is one of the most isolated, economically deprived inner city sections of greater Boston, okay? Got the picture. There are 27,000 people crowded into less than a 2 square mile area. Chelsea is a receptacle for all kinds of dropouts. Those struggling with life. All the people who have, quote, not made it. And probably never will. Every new minister to Chelsea at that time soon became acquainted with one of these dropouts. One struggling with life, an alcoholic, known to everyone as Johnny Cornflakes, because he often rummaged through the dumpsters. He rummaged through the dumpsters, looking through the cereal boxes or whatever to find a bit of food. Timothy George's church sometimes gave Johnny Cornflakes food and clothing and tried to see that he had a place to spend the night. Well, one Sunday after church, Timothy George and his wife held their first dinner party in Chelsea for out-of-town family guests. And this was a big deal. Family had come in from all over. They had worked very hard to make everything perfect. They had brought out, folks, their best linen, their finest dishes in order to make a good impression. And right smack dab in the middle of the main course, the front door of the parsonage burst open. And into their dining room, in all of his inebriated glory, sauntered Johnny Cornflakes. Now, folks, everyone's more than startled at this. But when they got their wits about him, Timothy George and his wife invited Johnny Cornflakes to sit at the table with them, to join in the meal, and he did. I mean, what a gracious offer, friends. Timothy, George later wrote that he suddenly knew what the Pharisees must have felt like. He wrote, quote, Johnny Cornflakes was someone you'd hand a sandwich to at the back door. Someone you'd deliver a care package to at the inner city mission. But definitely not someone that you would invite to a Sunday dinner. Yet, George continues, this is exactly what Jesus did. He invited all the Johnny Cornflakes of Jerusalem to Sunday dinner with the best linen and the finest dishes. Read the Gospels. Watch whom Jesus engages. And it makes me ponder some things about me, my own life. Folks, it was because of acts like these that Jesus' family, his mother and other family members, were concerned about him. I mean, they're concerned about him in this text today. They thought that he was overdoing it a bit, and they came to talk some sense into him and possibly take him home with them. That's what's going on here. And then there are all these religious officials who have also heard reports of Jesus' deviant activity, unorthodox activity. Who's he engaging? They've heard about it, and they accuse Jesus of being in league with the devil. Doesn't it make you wonder? It makes me wonder. Doesn't it make you wonder if the same thing would not happen today? I mean, those of us who are religious officials would still be uncomfortable. Some of those who think they have Jesus all figured out would be deeply, deeply distressed here, folks. You can't put Jesus in a box and say, this is who he is. But there's one thing that I can say. There's one thing that I can say for sure, and that is that Jesus cares about people. I can't tell you for which political party Jesus would vote for. I can't tell you where Jesus would stand on some of the great issues of the day. Knowing the complexity of them, and it would be presumptuous of me to try. But this I can say. I can tell you this, friends, that Jesus is for you. Jesus is for me. And Jesus is for every man, woman, and child on this planet. Somehow, I can just see Jesus doing outreach ministry. Getting out of the walls of the synagogue, getting out of the walls of the church, of a building. I can just see Jesus doing outreach ministry if he were here with us physically today. And I'm not just talking just in nightclubs and bars and on the street. He'd be right there. But he'd also be doing outreach in offices, in business offices. He'd be doing outreach in living rooms and at little league ball games. Any place that he could be with and get to know people, because Jesus cares about people and their struggles. and their pains and their questions. And that means he cares about you. And he cares about me. Folks, don't be put off by the formality of, quote unquote, the church. Look beyond the robes, look beyond the ritual, look to a risen Savior who gave his life for only one purpose: people. Everything he did, every lesson he taught, every indignity that he suffered was designed to bring you, designed to bring me and everyone else home to God. So, folks, whose need can we meet this week? Whose fear can we reassure? Who needs a smile, a word of encouragement? Jesus cares about people. And despite what everybody else says at times, we are called to care about all people as well. Amen.